Fog Racing back again, and it's absolutely insane. It's the Bahrain Grand Prix. It wasn't the craziest of races, right? But you could not have had a smile on your face watching Alonso, Sainz, Hamilton, etc. Battle for that last podium position. Yes, Red Bull looked like an absolute league of their own, but I would say this: I would be interested to see a race where Aston Martin have a clean race. I know we've only had one race, so I can't really say like it's not really happened. But it would have been interesting to see what would have happened if Alonso was third, and see what sort of pace he would have in, compared to the Red Bulls. Because after Sector One, through the S bit, and down the hill and into turn 10, I believe it is, you could see it was visible how much of a pace difference the Aston Martin had to the Ferraris and the Mercedes. I thought it was actually pretty insane, and it's undeniable that Aston Martin have the second fastest car in my opinion, especially in race trim. Right, maybe over one lap they're in between Ferrari and Mercedes, but as for the race pace, I think it definitely belongs to Aston Martin. Stroll did a good job. I'm actually surprised he finished so close, but we'll start to the start of the race, because at the start Leclerc jumps Perez. I mean, you kind of wanted someone to jump Max Verstappen and all that good stuff, but that didn't really happen, so Perez is the one to get jumped. And you think of it, if Perez only finished 12 seconds behind Verstappen, he literally lost all that in the first stint. So what would have happened if Perez wasn't held up by Leclerc and was battling Verstappen the whole time? Only time will tell in that regard. But Alonso tries to take a wide line to overtake Hamilton, and I believe he probably would have got back past Hamilton here, but Lance Stroll taps the back of Alonso, and it was just very amateurish for Stroll. Like, I know he's got the wrist issues, but I mean, this could have been disastrous. This could have been a broken front wing for Stroll and Alonso at the race. Thankfully, it wasn't. Both of them can continue, but then they lost it to Russell. And yeah, for like the entirety of the first stint, Aston Martins were held up behind the Mercedes. Also, Bottas got in front of Stroll. Bottas drove a pretty good race today, but from this point on, it was essentially the Alonso show. He overtook Russell, and then he overtook Hamilton. Great wee battle. He overtook him initially, and then he actually lost the back end, which was like a weird one. He almost thought Hamilton touched him, but I think it was just wheel spin. He just got opposite lock. Then on the next lap overtook him. Brilliant into turn 10, man. Absolutely done him in. Now, I'll admit, I think it just shows that the Aston Martin is so much better on its tyres, because the extra grip he had was particularly insane. Great manoeuvre on him, and then he did the exact same on Sainz. Almost touched him, which I thought was quite scary, but absolutely insane regardless of that. In terms of further down the grid, we have Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, Ocon, all three retiring. In terms of Piastri, abysmal for McLaren, not just for him, but for Norris as well, just not good enough. Leclerc retired on lap 41. I think he was like 10 seconds ahead of Sainz. Like, I don't think it's out of the question that Alonso would have got Leclerc. Now, I don't think he would have, personally, but I don't think it wasn't within the realms of possibility. So, Alonso took it well, does finish third in the end. Ocon, about 27 time penalties, it was insane. But in terms of the finishing order, we did have Verstappen, Perez, Alonso, Sainz, Hamilton, Stroll, Russell, Bottas, Gasly, and Alexander Albon in the Williams. But post-race, it was weird for Albon. He's sitting there saying we should have been in Q3, and that, we should have been in the points and all this good stuff, and we should be up here, which, I admire the honesty from him if he truly does believe that, because he said that Williams have took the second biggest step behind Aston Martin, and I would tend to agree with that, because, I don't think many people rate it, Logan Sargent, but here he is, P12, good race for him, didn't finish too far behind his teammate. Tsunoda 11th, then it was Sargent, Magnussen, De Vries, Hulkenberg, and then Guan Yu Zhou. Yeah, I think Haas were always going to have issues in this race just due to tyre wear, and that was evident, and Lando Norris was the last of the classified runners, guys. But, it wasn't a race to remember. I think it was a bit depressing, seeing how much quicker Red Bull truly were than the rest of the field. But I will say this: it could be track dependent. We've seen in year. I mean, we've seen, was it 2018? I believe when um, Hamilton won the race and he was on pole by like 8 tenths in Australia, but then it turned out Ferrari like next race were like the fastest car for over a bunch of years, which I thought was pretty weird. So I mean, it could be a case like that. And if Aston Martin can get a clean race starting third, be interesting to see how well they can get on trips. But anyway, that is it for the Bahrain Grand Prix. We have a 2 week break now, which is sad. It was great. I mean, it wasn't a classic, of course. If Red Bull weren't in the equation, fuck, I mean, it would be up there for race of the season already. Because I mean, it would have been a battle for the lead. And you know what? I've no doubts in my mind. Fernando Alonso will win a race this year. Because when Red Bull have an off day, or if he has a clean race where he starts third, for example, I think he'll win a race easily. Easily, easily, easily. And plus, with their wind tunnel time, I think Aston Martin will only get better. So, guys, till next time, your thoughts down below, and peace.